Colin McRae. Now there is a name that will forever echo in the world of motorsport. He wasn't just another driver, Colin was a legend. A guy who took risks like nobody else and pushed the boundaries of what was possible in rallying. His story is one of success and heartbreak, a career marked by brilliance but tragically cut short. Today we're going to take a closer look at Colin McRae's life, how he became one of the most iconic figures in rally history, and how his relentless need for speed brought him both glory and, ultimately, tragedy. Born on August 5th, 1968, in Lanark, Scotland, Colin McRae had motorsport in his blood. His father, Jimmy McRae, was a 5-time British rally champion, and that love for speed clearly ran in the family. Colin didn't waste any time getting involved in racing. By the time he was a teenager, Colin was already tearing through the Scottish countryside on a motorcycle, testing the limits of what he could do. It didn't take long for Colin to shift his attention from bikes to cars. His father bought him a Talbot Sunbeam 1.6, and although it wasn't much by today's standards, it gave young Colin a taste for competitive rallying. He started entering local events in the early 1980s, showing flashes of the talent that would later define his career. By 1985, at just 17 years old, Colin was already making waves in the local rally scene. He didn't just have raw speed, he had an uncanny ability to control a car on rough terrain. Skills honed from those wild rides on Scotland's rugged roads. Soon after, Colin got his hands on a Vauxhall Nova, known globally as the Opel Corsa. The Nova wasn't exactly a powerhouse, but it was a perfect car for Colin to develop his technique. With his father's guidance, Colin began to master the technical aspects of rally driving, front-wheel drive, weight distribution, braking techniques. The Nova, which packed a modest 72 horsepower in its stock form, became Colin's training ground. But while others were cautious, Colin was different. He always pushed his car to the absolute limits. Colin's breakout came in the late 1980s when he began competing in the British Rally Championship. Driving the Vauxhall Nova, Colin's aggressive style quickly attracted attention. It wasn't just that he was fast, he was spectacular. His driving was so extreme that people came to rallies just to see if Colin would finish a stage or crash out trying. This fearless approach paid off in 1991 when Colin was recruited by David Richards to drive for the ProDrive Subaru team. It was a turning point. Richards had recognized that Colin had the potential to be a world beater, and he gave him the keys to the Subaru legacy. Colin's mantra, if in doubt, flat out, defined his time at Subaru. While the legacy wasn't the most competitive car at the time, Colin pushed it beyond its limits, even securing a second-place finish in the British Rally Championship in 1991. His sheer tenacity in that underpowered car showed the world what he was capable of. By 1992, Colin had cemented his reputation by winning the British Rally Championship for a second consecutive year. That success launched him into the World Rally Championship, where he'd eventually make his mark on the global stage. What's remarkable is that in just 4 years, from 1988 to 1992, Colin went from being a promising talent in local rallies to a dominant force on the international circuit. In 1993, Colin stepped up to the World Rally Championship full-time, driving the Subaru Legacy. While the car wasn't the top contender, Colin's driving more than made up for it. His ability to extract performance from the Legacy was something to behold. But the real game changer came in 1994 when Subaru introduced the Impreza 555, a car that would go down in history alongside Colin McRae's name. The Impreza was lighter, more agile, and far more competitive than the Legacy. It had a 2-liter turbocharged flat-4 engine, producing upwards of 300 horsepower and featuring Subaru's legendary all-wheel drive system, which gave it a huge advantage on rough terrain. It was a perfect match for Colin's driving style. And in 1994, he began his quest for rally dominance. He picked up his first WRC victory that year at the New Zealand Rally. By 1995, everything came together. Colin's aggressive, risk-taking style was perfectly suited to the Impreza. And that year, he found himself locked in a head-to-head battle with his teammate, Carlos Sainz, for the WRC title. The rivalry was fierce, but it was Colin who emerged victorious, clinching the 1995 World Rally Championship after a dramatic final showdown at Rally GB. At just 27 years old, Colin became the youngest ever WRC champion, a record that stood for over 2 decades. The 1995 WRC season saw Colin achieve 6 podium finishes and 3 rally wins, putting him head and shoulders above the competition. That victory wasn't just a milestone for Colin, it was a moment that cemented Subaru and the Impreza as rally icons. Even today, the sight of a blue Subaru with yellow accents is synonymous with McRae's triumphs. After his success with Subaru, Colin took a bold step in 1999, switching teams to drive the Ford Focus WRC. The deal made him the highest-paid rally driver in history at the time, but the move came with its challenges. The Focus, while promising, was unproven in competition. It had a 2-liter turbo engine, capable of around 300 horsepower, but suffered from reliability issues early on. Mechanical failures plagued Colin's 1999 season, and despite flashes of brilliance, it wasn't the championship-winning car Colin had hoped for. Still, Colin's fearless driving kept him in the fight. In 2001, Ford finally ironed out the issues with the Focus, and Colin was back to his winning ways. securing victories in Argentina, Cyprus, and Greece. That year, he found himself in a three-way battle for the title with Tommi Mäkinen and fellow Brit Richard Burns. The championship went down to the wire, but in typical McRae fashion, he pushed too hard and crashed out of the final event, Rally GP, handing the title to Burns. It was a heartbreaker, but Colin's flat-out style was always going to come with risks. As the 2000s progressed, Colin began exploring other motorsport avenues. In 2004, he took part in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, driving a Ferrari 550 Maranello in the GT1 class. He and his team finished third in their class, a remarkable achievement for someone more accustomed to rally stages than racetracks. That same year, Colin tried his hand at the Dakar Rally, driving a Nissan pickup. Though it was a completely different type of racing, Colin's natural skill saw him finish a respectful 20th overall in what's widely regarded as the toughest motorsport event on the planet. One of his most memorable non-rally moments came in 2006 at the X Games in the United States. Competing in the rally car event, Colin executed one of the most spectacular crashes in motorsport history, flipping his car multiple times, only to land on his wheels and continue the race, despite losing out to Travis Pastrana by just a fraction of a second. This incident became legendary, but with McRae, risk was always part of the equation, and it was the same willingness to push the limits that led to the tragic events of September 15, 2007. Colin was piloting his Eurocopter AS350 helicopter near his home in Lanark, Scotland, with his 6-year-old son and 2 family friends aboard. It was supposed to be a routine flight, but something went terribly wrong. The helicopter crashed in a wooded area just a mile from Colin's house. The crash killed all 4 people on board. The investigation into the crash found the helicopter had been flying too low and struck trees, but the exact cause remains uncertain. It was a devastating loss, not just for Colin's family, but for the entire motorsport community. McRae, who lived his life flat out, was suddenly gone at the age of 39. Colin McRae's legacy in motorsport is unparalleled. He wasn't just a rally driver, he was a symbol of what it means to live life without compromise. His mantra, if in doubt, flat out, has inspired countless drivers. Many of today's top rally stars like Sebastian Ogier and Chris Meek cite Colin as their inspiration. His contributions to motorsport go beyond the rally stages. The Colin McRae Rally video game series, first released in 1998, became one of the most popular and realistic motorsport simulations ever made. Even today, the game's influence can be seen in titles like Dirt Rally and WRC games. In his career, Colin McRae secured 25 WRC victories, making him one of the most successful rally drivers of all time. His WRC career win percentage stands at 14.71%, a testament to his ability to push his car beyond its limits. McRae was indicted into the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame and remains a hero to motorsport fans worldwide. Even after his death, Colin's legacy continues to be celebrated. Events like the McRae Gathering, where over 1,000 Subaru Imprezas came together to honor him, show just how much he meant to his fans. His family has also set up the Colin McRae Vision charity to support young drivers and promote safety in motorsports. Colin McRae's life was one of extraordinary achievements, risk-taking, and unrelenting passion for motorsport. His fearless approach to racing, where he gave everything he had in every race, has made him a legend whose influence will be felt for generations. Whether it was his remarkable victories, his spectacular crashes, or his humble demeanor off the track, Colin McRae will forever be remembered as one of the greatest motorsport legends of all time.